Hola mi gente, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be making sofrito. Sofrito is a staple in Latin cuisine. You'll find it in almost every Puerto Rican kitchen. And today we're going to do my version. There are different variations of this recipe, so please keep in mind I'm doing the ones that I grew up making with my mother, and I hope that you make your own and incorporate what you like and what you don't like into it. Now we're gonna start by introducing all of the ingredients, and we're gonna start with, of course, peppers. We use 1 large green pepper, 1 large red pepper. We have cubanelles, which are a variation of red and green peppers here. We have ají, which are sweet peppers. Now with ají you have to be very careful because there are 2 types. They are sweet and very spicy hot. So you have to make sure you buy the sweet unless you have a taste for the spicy, for hot food. Then you could maybe incorporate a little bit of those into this recipe, but I prefer to use the sweet. We're also going to use a lot of garlic. Now these are 3 heads of garlic here, about 25 pieces of garlic, 2 large onion, and olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, of course. And then we have our herbs. We have culantro, not to be mistaken with cilantro, which we also use. Cilantro and culantro. Culantro is a long leaf. As you can see, it's a very different variation of and a different herb. Now some people don't use both. Some people use one or the other. I personally like to use all of the ingredients that you see in front of me. As a variation, people use capers and they use olives. Again, that's your preference, how you want to use it. I'm going to use this, like I said, the ingredients that I have here, and we'll start in now. First, make sure that all of your ingredients, of course, and all of your peppers have been washed and peeled, cut and seeded. I already started with the sweet ají, so we're gonna do the peppers now, the big ones. And again, very carefully, just make sure you just cut the edges of all your peppers. You don't want seeds in your sofrito. So we're gonna do them all like this, just the very sides, and leave the pits to the side. Once you're done with that, you make sure you give them a quick wash to make sure you get rid of all of the seeds, and you continue to the next one. When you finish with all of them, we'll start the blending. You're also going to need I forgot to tell you, you need a tool. This is a very important tool for this specific recipe. You're not going to be cooking anything, but you're definitely going to be blending. So make sure you have a good blender, and you have it plugged and ready to go. So make sure that everything is nice and clean. Put them to the side. Now some people only use 1 red pepper, and then everything else as far as the peppers are green. I personally like to use a little bit more red pepper. I like the color it gives when you're done. I'm not too particular of my sofrito being too green. But again, those are choices you make for yourself. If you go to the supermarket and you buy your own sofrito, pre-made sofrito, you'll see that most of the time it's red. Again, it doesn't have to be like that. When you buy it frozen, it most likely is going to be green. For the same reasons I said. Some people prefer to have it with more pepper. Some people prefer to put tomato. It is your preference. This recipe has been in my family for many years. This is the recipe my grandmother used to make. This is the recipe my mom used to make. So this is the way that I make it. Be very careful with the knives. Make sure that you got all of those seeds out. I like to wash them in between to make sure none of those little seeds stick around. Cubanelle peppers, you don't have to use 4. Again, I like my sofrito with a lot of peppers. That's why I use 4 cubanelles, 1 large green and 1 large red. But you could only use 2 of these long peppers and call it a day. I like to use 4. 2 red, 2 green. So get all that. Once I'm done with this, we'll get started. Okay, so now we have cleaned, seeded, and cut all of our peppers. You don't have to make little tiny cuts. It's not necessary. You could just slide them right on the side because we are going to be putting them in a blender, and the blender is going to make sure that everything gets pureed with no problem. So with that said, we are going to start putting everything in the blender. We usually like to start with the hotter products, like the hotter vegetables, like the onions and the garlic, only because you want to make sure that this gets pureed well. You don't want it you don't want to find large chunks of onions or garlic in your sofrito. You want to make sure that everything is nice and blended. So we'll put a couple of onions, part of the onion in here, some of the garlic. Okay, and maybe we'll throw a couple of the peppers just to get it started. Okay. Now, where does the white olive oil? I like to use garlic olive oil. You could use whatever oil you feel comfortable with. I happen to like the taste of the olive oil better. You could use avocado oil. You could use whatever oil you feel better with. It's only a dab. You don't have to drown it in oil. This is just to make it easier for the blending. Okay, put our cover and we'll get started. Here we go. Okay, so you have your base. You don't have to do this in any particular order. I just like, I have my way of thinking or my way of doing these things. So I like to start with the onion and the garlic. Like I said, you can start with whichever of the ingredients you want, but this is the order that I've always done it. Now that we have that base, we could start adding our herbs. No, I do not chop the stems of the cilantro. Again, everything is gonna get pureed. You don't have to. We'll put some of the cilantro. We'll put some of the culantro in there to give it that nice little flavor, that color. We'll throw some of the ají. And we'll hit the blender button again. Now, if you feel like you're making too much and you don't know if one is gonna match the other, don't worry, because what you do is once you do one complete set of the sofrito and you still got ingredients to mix, empty it out, put it in a container, and when everything is done, we mix everything together to make sure that everything tastes exactly the same. Okay, so don't worry if your blender is not big enough. They usually never are, and we'll be fine. And here we go. Now the process will continue until all of your ingredients are incorporated and they've been blended put together. After we're done, I will show you how to store. Okay, so again, we're gonna put some more garlic and onions and the peppers and all of the other ingredients to make sure that everything is well blended, smoothie like. If that's the setting you want to use, yeah, some people use lighter setting because they like their sofrito chunky. Like I said, I grew up with making sure that everything is nice and smooth. I don't like big chunks of the ingredients in the food, even though it cooks, you know, I'm particular like that. I don't cut the stems of the sofrito as long as it, of the cilantro or the culantro, as long as everything is nice and clean, it shouldn't matter. Getting quite full, so when we're done with this one, we're going to empty it out in a container. We're going to start the process all over again with a little bit of oil, and we'll keep going, like I said, until everything is nice and done. Okay, so like I said, sometimes it becomes a lot for your blender. So what I like to do is to remove some of the sofrito from the blender. Put it right here in a big bowl because we're going to be mixing it together. You don't have to freak out if you don't have enough room in your blender for all of the ingredients. We don't have that much ingredients to blend anyway, so I like to keep at least half of it in there just so that you don't have to add more oil. Oh, the smell, such a great color, such a great smell. This really does enhance your cooking, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Latin food. You could put this in stews, you could put this in beans, you could put this in soups, you could put this you could marinate meats with these things. It's amazing. It's literally a tool in the kitchen, a tool that you always want to have in your kitchen. And you'll see we're going to make some really great stuff with this stuff, so it's going to be wonderful. Now what I am doing here is adding all of the ingredients that I still have left over on my counter, making sure everything is nice and used and blended. And when we're done, like I said, I'm going to show you how we're going to incorporate everything, and we're going to mix it together so that everything tastes exactly the same and everything is nice and smooth. Okay, we'll be right back. No ingredient gets left behind. And now we're just finishing up here with the last of the ingredients. It smells so good in here. Again, this is something that you can make any time of the year. The ingredients are usually very easy to find and could be replaced. Like if you don't find the culantro, you could always double up on the cilantro. If you don't find the cubanelle peppers, you could just use regular bell peppers, you know, yellow, orange, green, red is what you have available in your area. And if you so happen to find the ingredients, you know, you could always buy and make enough to last you for a long time until they come back in season and you start the process all over again. So, here we go. Okay, so we're all done mixing. We're all done blending. I'm gonna show you what this looks like in a little bit. I'm just making sure none of it spilled, but this is precious. It really is. It's not something that is made all the time. So when it is, you know, you wanna look at that color. Beautiful. It's nice and fresh, and be careful because these blenders are very sharp. These knives on the blender are very sharp. With this, put this over here. Okay. I just want to show you real quick what this looks like. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it from the camera there, but it is a beautiful, beautiful color. It's not all green, like I said. Again, this is your particular preference. This is how I like it. It's a nice orangey color. You can see the greens, you can smell the onion, you can smell the garlic. I don't particularly like to add salt. Why? Because you have your recipes where you are already going to add the salt that you want, and it's up to you. I sometimes give this out to friends, so I let them add whatever extra spices they want to it. You could add salt, you could add pepper if you want to, but I like to keep it nice and simple so that whatever you're cooking, you could manage the salt accordingly. Okay, I mean, this is beautiful. Look at that color. Look, and it's nice and smooth. It's not chunky, but it's not watery. See, it's a beautiful texture. And now I am going to teach you what you do once you're done doing all your mixing. This is how I like to save my sofrito. Ice cube makers. They are the best way to do so because you could definitely freeze this. You don't necessarily have to put them in even though you could put them in small jars and keep them in your fridge. Problem with that is that if you make big batches like I like to make, it could go bad. This doesn't have any preservatives. This doesn't have anything like the store-bought. So you gotta make sure that you keep it nice and contained. You could seal them, vacuum seal them, and put them in your fridge. Absolutely. But I like to freeze them because you could just pop them out and you can measure how much you want to use. Each of these squares are about a tablespoon's worth. When I cook, I use about 1 or 2 depending on what I'm making. If I'm making beans, I'll take 1. If I'm making rice and color rice or whatever, I'll take 1. If I'm marinating, I take 2, 3, maybe even 4 depending on the size of what I'm cooking. But with that, this is definitely a good way to keep yourself, first of all, knowing how much you have left and measuring for your recipe depending on how we go. So we're just gonna fill up all of these with my sofrito. And again, this is something really good to give out to friends, for them to experiment with when they do their cooking. I like to give it to my friends at work or my family members, and they love it. Again, everybody has their own way of cooking. Everybody has their own way of incorporating this into their meals. So experiment with it, or follow the recipes that we're going to be doing in the future, and add to it or take away from it whatever you want. Like I said, most people do add other stuff to it, like tomatoes. They add olives. They add capers. You know, you could put hotter peppers into it. It's your preference. This is mine. So, like I said, what we do carefully, we just take by the spoonful and start filling out all of the crevices, all the little squares. See, 1 tablespoon. Look, it fills every single one at a time perfectly. It's exactly that measurement. Make sure that they're all nice and even. They don't have to look pretty. If they do, they do. They don't have to. Just make sure that you get every square. And I like to use the ice makers or the ice cube trays that have the silicone bottom, so it's easy to release them from the tray. Okay, so like I said, we'll just very carefully, and I'm spilling it already. Go in and fill them out. Again, like I said, this does not have to look pretty. It just have to taste wonderful, which I'm 100% sure it is. And it smells amazing. Your whole house is gonna smell of this herb, all the herbs, and this sofrito is gonna change your life. It's gonna definitely change the way you cook. You could literally start using this immediately. You could use them right now as is. But you want to save for future cooking days and for future recipes. Okay, so there you go. Look at that. Little tap. Make sure they're all even. So it's a little lacking right there. But there you go. You have made sofrito. And this is gonna last you a while. Again, you could put it in anything you want. Once it's sealed, it freezes. You could break them apart and cook them, put them into your cooking as is, straight from the fridge. You don't have to defrost them. It's gonna cook in your recipe. It's gonna cook with your beans. It's gonna cook with the rice. It's gonna cook whatever you want. You can marinate chicken with this. You can marinate pork chops with this. You can marinate beef, whatever you want. It's all herbs and spices. So and vegetables is gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna make cooking just a little bit easier. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you follow and you subscribe and you like, and I hope we could make some more recipes, and we are going to be making more recipes with this great sofrito, and hope to see you again soon and in the future. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.